have Sherry Levitin, the one, the only, who I have had a chance to get to know quite well over recent months, and the opportunity to call a friend in the sales space now, maybe one of my BSFFs now, I hope. And I've just fallen in love with her perspective on the use of video and tying that into how it is that we sell on a day-to-day basis. So this session is going to be chock full of ideas and inspiration. Really, really excited about this. So thanks to everybody who's introducing themselves in the chat. We are going to go T-minus 10 seconds before we kick things off and pass it over to Sherry. Before we do, Sherry, do you want to let everybody know where you're coming from?
I am coming from Park City, Utah. And let me tell you, we are having the best ski season since '83. So come on out and ski with me. We would love that. And that's where I am.
Amazing. I think we all would be very happy to be there to join you. My name is Tyler Lessard. For those who I haven't met yet, I'll be your host for Fast Forward here today for this session with Sherry. I'm coming at you from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. I see some fellow Canucks in the audience here today, so thank you all for joining us. Now, up here is on the agenda on the screen. You can see here we are kicking things off. We have a full day of amazing content coming at you from lots of different experts in sales. But first, of course, we are going to kick things off here with Sherry. Now, before we do, some really quick housekeeping items. To answer the most common question, yes, this session and all the ones here at Fast Forward will be recorded and available on demand afterwards. Please be active in the chat. Ask your questions in the Q&A. Every time you interact, it energizes our speakers and it helps us make today as great as it can be. So please be active in the chat and ask your questions in the Q&A. And finally, if you do have questions about Vidyard, your host for the event here today, check the chat. There's a link at the top if you want to set up some time to chat with anybody on our team or ask them questions about using video. So without further ado, I have the absolute pleasure of introducing and passing it over to Sherry Levitin, the CEO of Levitin Group, the author of Heart and Sell. The accolades go on and on, but I will finish them there, and I will pass it over to Sherry to kick off to chat about selling with video.
Thank
Sherry,
you, Tyler. And hello, everybody. I see people in from all over the globe. Welcome. If you want to go ahead and click the QR code there, we actually have a workbook that follows along with this so that you can share it with your teams, your cohorts, don't share it with your enemies. Don't do that. Share it with your friends so that you can follow along. Last time we spoke, Tyler, you asked me a question, and I want to start that way. You asked me how in the world I started using video. And the truth of the matter is I didn't really used to use video like everybody else. I did written blogs and got, a 2-3% actual response rate. And, sometimes it was up to 15%, but, I wasn't cracking through to a lot of people. Well, one day, this was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I was on a hike. And that I live in Park City, Utah. So we ski in the winter and we hike in the summertime. And, I'm kind of scraggly and I'm hiking up a mountain. And one of my employees, who happens to be a millennial, said, "Hey, Sherry, you got to stop it with these boring blogs." I said, "What do you mean? They're not boring. They're great." He goes, "Yeah, but nobody reads them. See, you're not going to connect with millennials. You're not going to connect with people like me. Why don't you try video?" I said, yeah. You're the 5th person that told me to try video. Yeah, maybe one day. He says, "No, why don't you do one right now?" I said, "I'm not doing one right now. I have no makeup on. I'm sweaty. I'm gross." He says, "You got to understand, that's exactly what people want. They want authenticity. They want the real you." He said, "I dare you. I dare you right now to make a video and put it online." Well, I love a good dare. So I said, "Okay, fine, I'll do a video." So I take out my phone, which, by the way, is more powerful than what Steven Spielberg used to film Jaws. I take out my phone, I do a short video, I post it to Facebook, and I couldn't believe what happened. It was like we had 12,000 views. I never had that many opens on an email. I was just blown away. And that's when it hit me. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, what's a video worth? Turns out a lot. I will tell you right now, 90% of all of our leads today are inbound because of video. We put videos out on LinkedIn and Instagram, but even more importantly, throughout the sales cycle, we differentiate ourselves through video. We get higher open rates, more engagement. And I would say why I love video is people are able to feel who you are. It's not a cold email. It's not an emoji to soften it. They get to see you. You all heard the stats a long time ago. Communication is 7% words, 38% tonality, and 55% body language. If you don't use video, I'm going to tell you right now, you are missing out on 55% of your message. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at a few tactics. And I also want to mention why I'm especially passionate about video is because it's novel. You have an opportunity right now to stand out in front of all the other salespeople. When I was growing up in California as a little sprite, I remember every Sunday we'd be playing ball out in the cul-de-sac, and my mom would say, "Sherry, grandma's on the phone, long distance." Well, I would drop my game of capture the flag instantly to talk to grandma. Why? Because it was $12 a minute, the equivalent of $101 today. The point is, long distance back then was novel. Email back then was novel. Now, if you're like most people, you don't even answer your phone messages anymore. If you're like most people, I just talked to Tyler Lessard, I'm telling a secret. You've all got 3,946 unread emails. Video gives you the chance to break through email boxes in a very novel way. Now, there's lots of statistics I could show you as to why video is so important, and it is in your ebook. What I want to do right now is go ahead and look at what we're going to talk about today in this very short period of time that we have. And we're going to look at 4 things. Number 1, why video is so important. What are the reasons that you want to use video? I've told you a couple. Where do you use video in the process? And then I'm going to give you a structure, one that you can use right away today that will change everything for you. And if we have time, I will be able to go through kind of some do's and don'ts, but we may get to that in the Q&A. So real quickly, and go ahead and write in the chat, I want to know why you think video is more powerful than a boring email or a phone call. And obviously, I already gave you one way. But write that in the chat. I'm going to get up here and look at the chat and see what you have to say. And Tyler may chime in and tell me some of the things that we're hearing. More human. Tyler, that is, for me, the number one reason people today want authenticity. Hi from Atlanta. Hello. I love that. So a couple of reasons, more personal. Thank you for that. Very, very good. So yeah, there's lots of reasons. And let's start with, it's different. Oh, that's a great one. Authentic and genuine, connect better, personalization. You guys are nailing it. You've had your coffee this morning. I love it. First and foremost, 3 times the open rate. If you're having a problem right now getting through to people, and I will tell you, Catherine is going to be speaking later about how to look good on video, how to be confident. She is a force of nature. You will love her segment. But yeah, you've got 3 times the open rate, definitely increased trust in a time where trust is at an all-time low. According to Gallup, sellers are the least trusted of all professionals. I would say another thing is they're more memorable. I can't tell you how many people that call me and say, "Wow, what was that? Where'd you get that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a Vidyard," right? So it's pretty cool. Here's what I'm going to be sharing today. And here is where there's many, many places we could do a 2-day seminar on selling with video. But I like to talk about the number one way we use video, and that is to gain consensus. For those of you that are in B2B sales, you all know that Gartner tells us there are 11 average stakeholders that we have to convince in a transaction. And very often, you only get the benefit to talk to 2 or 3 of them. And then they've got to carry your message to the other stakeholders. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want somebody that I just met for 26 minutes that may even not be in sales carrying my message. I want to carry my own message about my products and services. I want to be able to answer my own objections. So we're going to look at today the structure of how to gain consensus with video after your discovery call. And even if you're selling B2C, you still got to gain consensus between partners. It may just be husband and wife, husband and husband, whatever the case may be, but we still need to get consensus. I also love videos as CPR for dead deals. But again, today we're going to talk about using video for gaining consensus. So let's go ahead and do that now. And like I said, you can use video throughout your sales process. And I recommend you take a look at your buyer's journey and add video as much as you can, because again, it makes you stand out and makes you more human. But let's look at a particular use case that I want to show you. Now, we all know the importance of a good in-depth discovery. And I will also tell you that what's going to be really important is before you get on your call, assuming that you're going to be having a call and you're using Zoom or you're using Teams, whatever you're doing, that obviously is synchronous video. With Vidyard, we're talking about also incorporating asynchronous video. So Zoom, of course, is synchronous video. Now, I'll tell you the first place I use video to confirm the call. Why? Because I want to make sure that my video is in fact synchronous, that their camera is on and my camera is on. Now, I'm going to give you a crazy statistic. If your customer's camera isn't on during a Zoom call or a meetings call, what do you think they're doing other than listening to you? I just got some new data. It's fascinating. 82% of customers that have videos off are doing something other than listening to you. Now, just for fun, write in the chat the thing that is most embarrassing that you have done with videos off. Make it G-rated. We're a family show here, but we have heard some pretty wild stories of what people are doing. So I just want to see, what do you do when cameras are off? Go ahead, be vulnerable, be brave. Well, I'll tell you what we hear the most is that people are doing everything. The number one response we get is they're like cleaning up cat puke, or girls doing their nails, or guys working on the car. The point is, if their video isn't on making lunch or eating lunch, yeah. Here's the point. The point is, if your customer's video isn't on, you're not going to have a good audience. So what I want you to do is send a video reminder before your discovery call, reminding them. Don't just use the old school automation. You've got to call at 11. I'd come on a Vidyard video. Hi, looking forward to our call at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Make sure your video's on. Would love to see if you have any pets. Don't worry, I'm having a bad hair day too. So, have some fun with it, but make sure their video is on. Okay, so now let's go ahead, and I want to talk to you about one of the frameworks that we use here at Leviton Group to do discovery, so I can share a little bit about how to get consensus with video after discovery. And this framework is also in the ebook. It will change the way you sell. We have taught this to sales teams around the world, to Fortune 500 companies, to companies in every kind of industry you can imagine. And this tends to be one of the most impactful frameworks that we teach. Here goes. There's 3 or 4 types of questions you need to ask in a discovery call. And I will tell you, most sellers only ask 1. So here goes. The first type of question you must ask is what I call skin questions. Now, skin questions are, they're surfacey, right? They're the facts. So if you're selling Vidyard software, it might be, how many salespeople do you have? How long have you been in business? What type of technology are you using now? Skin questions are just the facts. And a lot of skin information you should already know. You should have researched it. online, on their website, on LinkedIn. And I will tell you what, 80% of sellers stop with skin questions. What better sellers do is they break past the skin and into the bone. Bone questions reveal problems that you're trying to solve for. In the case of Vidyard, maybe bad open rate, maybe people aren't opening, you're not getting consensus. So bone questions in the discovery sound like, if you could change anything, what would it be? But the best salespeople in the world break past the skin, through the bones, and into the heart. That's the place sales are made today. And I might argue it is the only place sales are made. Heart questions sound like, if you hit your KPIs, how would that make you feel? What would that do for you emotionally? So these are the types of questions we need to ask. And then, oh boy, if you are selling B2B, and this is all in the ebook again, you also need to ask what I call connective tissue questions. Connective tissue questions show how they do business in the organization. So if you were to bring in an outside vendor, what's your process for doing that? Does it go through procurement? Who else needs to be involved? You're sort of figuring out how to navigate the political landscape. Now, I just did a 2-day seminar in 4 minutes, but I wanted to just give you this framework so you can see the power of following up with video after you've gotten all that information from the person you are doing the discovery call with. Because after I do a discovery call, what I want to do is confirm everything I heard. Why? Because people today, more than anything, need to feel felt. They need to feel that you understand their problem. I will tell you the biggest mistake sellers make today. I call it premature demonstration syndrome. You're so excited about your software, your car, your product, whatever it is, that you get on a discovery call, you ask 1 or 2 skin questions, and you go right to your 40-minute product demo. No. You need to understand everything about your customer. You need to understand your pain, and you need to let them know that you understand them. They need to feel felt. That's your job. So after you've gotten all of that information, probably from just 1 or 2 stakeholders, I want you to follow up within 24 hours with, guess what? A Vidyard video. And here is the $1 million framework that I'm going to give you. On that video, first of all, it should be no more than 60 to 90 seconds. So you're going to need to practice, and you'll get better and better at it. And I didn't start out good at it, by the way. So don't be shy if you're not good at it right away. So you're going to first off repeat back the skin information, names, dates, trigger events in the company, the people that you're talking to. Do they have a dog? Do they have kids? You're going to repeat back all of the facts that you learned. Next, you're going to repeat back the bone information. And again, bone questions are the challenges that the customer currently faces. Are they not gaining enough market share? Is their customer satisfaction low? Huge differentiator today. Are their sellers burned out? Is there a problem with their culture? What problems are they facing that you can solve with your product? So then you're going to repeat back the problem. Then you're going to repeat back the heart information, and you're going to do it in this order. It's very, very important that you do it in this order. You're going to repeat back. And the reason that it's so important for you to hit your numbers, John, is you were telling me as a senior executive in your company, you're spending 300 days a year on the road. And if you actually hit your KPIs, you could probably spend more time at home and actually see one of your son's ball games. You see, that's heart. Even when you're selling to a business, remember, you're selling to a human, somebody who's got a life. Why does this person want to be your champion and bring your solution to the rest of the stakeholders? There's got to be something in it for him, not only solving a problem, but at a heart level. And then, yes, you're going to repeat back the connective tissue information. So it might sound something like this. As a training company, I might say, let me see if I have this correctly. Right now, you have 500 sellers in your organization. You've also got 40 frontline managers, and you're great at product knowledge. In fact, you have a whole enablement department. But some of the challenges are you realize the customer's changed. You realize that now you need to sell in a hybrid world, and your sellers don't know how to make a connection in a hybrid world. They don't know how to use video. And Donna, the reason this is so important to you is because you're going through a major acquisition. And you've got to have your numbers high because you want and deserve that promotion. Now, what we need to do is we need to get with Ted and Brenda in order to get confirmation. And that's what we've decided to do on our next call, Tuesday at 2:00. Let me know if I missed anything, and I will see you there. And we look forward to moving forward. Boom, done. Now note, did I sell my product? No. Did I sell my differentiators? No. Because in this phase, in this use case of the presentation, you just want the customer to feel felt. I will tell you, nobody wants to be sold today, but they do want to buy if they know that you understand them. So this is my favorite use case for video. It's something that you can try right away, and I encourage you to do so with Vidyard Video. We're not going to have a ton of time to get into do's and don'ts, so go ahead and take a picture of this and look at it. Of course, you're going to strategize your background. Subject line matters. You want to keep it short. Establish virtual presence. You want to look good. You want to sound good. I would say next, here's some don'ts. Don't talk about the weather. You want to keep your videos tight. Otherwise, people are going to click off very quickly. I've seen a lot of people say, hey, I am in beautiful Orlando, Florida, and the weather is great. No, you want to make it about them right away. Number two, this is huge. And this has been a problem for me. There's a tendency when we get in front of video to actually change our voice. And women, this is particularly true of us. I know that a lot of women, me included, when I get excited, my voice literally goes up an octave. About 5 years ago, I was at dinner with my family, my husband, Lee, and my son, Tyler, and he was just 12 at the time. He was a little sprite. And I was waiting for an important call at dinner, and I picked it up, and he could overhear it. I was on for about 5 minutes. I put the phone down, and my 12-year-old Tyler says, oh, was that a client? I said, yeah, how'd you know? He goes, oh, because you were using pitch voice. Pitch voice? What's pitch voice? Oh, it's the same voice you use on video blogs. Hi, this is Sherry. I went, oh God, that is so embarrassing. And I actually went back and listened, and turns out I had lost my humanity or my conversational style. I was thinking I was on some big stage or needed to act differently than who I am. So I am telling you, one of the most important things you can do is be yourself. And the lower your voice, the more authority that you had. Another don't, you don't want to lead with your product. As I just said, you always want to lead with the problem that your customer's having. That's the what's in it for me. And that's going to be really critical. Well, Tyler, these are my do's and don'ts. And again, if you want to go back really quickly, why we need video, where you use video everywhere, a special use case of information confirmation, couple do's and don'ts. And now I think we got a little Q&A action going on, huh?
Well, I'll start by saying amazing and thank you for sharing your insights and wisdom, Sherry. So many great takeaways. And I love how you think about the use of video in the context of how we can create a better experience for our buyers, how we can better get to know them and help them better get to know us. But I think what really sort of a thread that I pulled through was using it as a way to build that rapport and earn their trust. And doing so in a way where they can see you, they can hear you, they get to know you, as opposed to just things like the text-based confirmation email, which you could very much do, but it's a real difference when you do it through video. And I think that's a really interesting concept. Now, one question that came in from our audience early on was whether or not there's anything we need to think about with different audiences and different generations. So, for example, if we're using video with, an older demographic, a younger demographic, maybe they're in government or security, maybe they're in marketing or sales. Is there anything that you think about in that context of how you might use video differently, or hey, are we all people and it matters for everyone?
Yeah, it's just such a great question. And the truth is, I haven't really thought about it except to say um, that would be more applicable when you're using synchronous video.
Hmm.
So because with Vidyard, it's asynchronous video. And what I love about Vidyard is the video just pops up. And so an older generation is going to go, wow, that's cool. Like, they're just sort of blown away. Like they've never seen that before. I think once you get on that Zoom call, you do need to change. And I like to take about a few minutes to make sure everybody's comfortable with it, that they know how to chat back with me, that they know speaker view from gallery view. And so I take a little bit longer to make everybody feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great and very, very wise words. And I agree. I think that, they're all humans on the other side. And one of the things that I've learned is that video has some of these superpowers over other types of content. And whether your audience is a video viewer or not, things like using it to show rather than tell, they add more value to the buyer. And so the, thought that, oh, well, are they going to watch this video? I often come back to, are they going to get more value out of seeing this in a video? Whether it's to get to know me, whether it's to feel my energy, whether it's to learn something from what I'm able to show. And I think that's also a very important way to think about it, is like, how is this video adding more value to them on the other side? And if it's not, maybe it's not the right way to deliver the message.
Yeah, and speaking of value, and in addition to getting consensus, I would never send a proposal. I think Todd Caponi talks about that beautifully. I would never send a proposal without showing them exactly what to focus on, because people today are overwhelmed with information. And you can use video to say, focus on these 2 or 3 aspects. Otherwise, they sort of blow up and get overloaded. And people would rather make no decision than make the wrong decision.
Amazing. It's a great way to humanize, personalize, create clarity, and ultimately build trust with the audience. Sherry Levitin, a huge thank you to you for joining us here today, for spending the time with our audience, for sharing the ebook, and for helping us all understand how to outmaneuver our competition with video.